Hey, Jim, welcome to the show.
Hey, Jason, thanks for having me, man.
Yeah, I'm excited to have you on. Tell us who you are and what you do.
Yeah, my name is Jim Matuga. I'm the president and founder of InnerAction Media. We're a marketing agency based in Morgantown, West Virginia. We primarily work with small entrepreneur companies, startups, and nonprofit organizations as well, not only in West Virginia, but into Maryland, Pennsylvania, and a little bit into Ohio as well.
Awesome. How'd you get your start? What made you start an agency?
Well, it had been my goal all my career. I got a degree in advertising from West Virginia University back in 1988, and had this vision of working on Madison Avenue, New York City, as a copywriter. Well, it never panned out. I got my first job in radio, then worked for a local newspaper for about 14 years, and every time I took a promotion or a pay raise, it took me further from my dream of owning my own agency. Until 2011, I finally said, you know what? It's time. If I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it. And I bit the bullet, quit my job, and started an agency in 2011.
What gave you the courage to do that? Because
Well,
especially, as
yeah,
you start getting later in life and you
yeah,
get paid more and more, it gets harder. Like
yeah,
when I
exactly.
started, I was 22. I was eating ramen noodles, so I was like, "This is easy."
It was easy, yeah. So I guess I was in a major transition in my life at that point. I had had gone through a pretty painful, bitter divorce, and kind of had lost everything. Was kind of starting from scratch again. And I said, well, if this is the time, if there's going to be a time to do it, I've got to do it now. And so I kind of thought that way and had that mindset and just bit the bullet and said, let's go. I bought a used Mac computer off of Craigslist, and on my kitchen table on a Tuesday, October 2011, I opened the doors for my business.
Wow. So October 2011 was when I sold the agency.
Yeah, I know.
The
There's some
yeah,
jiving here.
it's
Yeah,
crazy. Yeah, I was like,
absolutely.
"Wait, October 11." I was like, that was the month I sold.
Yeah,
That
that's
was the month
crazy.
you started. Maybe you
Yep.
got one of my old computers."
I got all your secrets, Jason.
There you go. Yeah, there you go. Well, awesome. What's been the biggest eye-opening thing since, starting the agency
Hmm.
in, 15 years ago?
Yeah, I think the realization that I can't do it on my own. I think that's the biggest eye opener. I feel like I'm a creative guy. I love to write. I have vision. I love music. I like bringing video production to the forefront. Our agency's big in video, but knowing that I have to have an amazing team around me, and to the point where now my job is really to continue just to build the team, equip the team, lead the team, but they're doing everything. I mean, I have an amazing group of people around me. So that's the most important thing.
How did you how did you build this amazing team? Because I tell everybody, there's a lot of people that come to me going, "Hey, Jason, I want you to buy my agency," and I'm like, "Well, what's the issue?" And they're like, "I'm doing everything," or everything's falling on my shoulders. I'm like, "Well, tell me about the team," and
Yeah.
that's one of the biggest hurdles people have to get over is
Yeah.
it's not about how to scale your agency, it's
Mhm.
about who can scale the
That's
agency.
right. You're 100% on point with that. I think the idea, if I could give it like one word, it would be patience. I'm a very impatient person by nature, so I want everything now. But I've realized over the years that patience is the key. You got to let people develop into their roles. You have to give them opportunity. You have to give them a path forward. So we're always here talking about what's the next phase going to look like, right? And that's about vision, right? you know Creating a vision is what could be and what should be, in my humble opinion. I'm a very simple thinker, but what could be and what should be, and thinking that way, and then equipping the people around you to see that vision and say, yes, I want to be part of that.
Yeah, I like the what could be and what should be.
Yeah.
So give us an example of that of like, let's say go back in a time when you were in the agency where you were doing a lot
Yeah.
and it was constant up and down, like, even more than it is today. Everyone has ups and downs,
Yep.
but where you were at a point where you wanted to quit.
Yeah. Well,
Could,
coming out of the pandemic was one of those benchmark moments.
Right.
It was in the end of 2020, and I work with a business coach, and I have since 2017, and we meet monthly. And in December of 2020, I looked to him and said, I'm tired of like chasing every month. Like on the 30th of the month, I'm like, that defines who I am for the next month. It's like, were we profitable? What was our margin? And I'm like, I want to stop chasing that. And what I would like to do, instead of focusing on, 12/31, I want to focus on 2031. So that would have been 10 years, like a 10-year plan. And he's like, wow, that's pretty good. So he wrote it down, and that became one of my long-term goals, is to have a
You start
business.
coaching them.
Yeah, right. Well, it was just kind of profound how it came to me, but I was just like, listen, I want to have a business, an agency that is not dependent on Jim Matuga to be here to do everything, to sell every single piece of business that comes in here. I've got to create a business where I don't have to be here in 10 years and it'll still run without me. So what does that look like? And we set out, and I have a long-term person, a team member. His name is Dylan Sheldon. He's been with me right out of college. He's been almost 11 years now. We're going to start our 14th year in October. 11 years he's been with me, and he started as a video producer. Now he's been named vice president of operations earlier this year. And Dylan is the heir apparent to take this over and run with it when I'm ready to step aside. And that to me was like really, when you talk about vision, I had to like almost sell them on the idea, hey, I want you to. And so we started out, and like a practical thing. It was at the beginning of 2023. I said, here's the process. You're going to start reviewing the P&L with me. And so every month we sit down with our CPA and we do a deep dive on the P&L. And wow, that was kind of that was a vulnerable thing for me to say, I'm going to show you my books, right? Because it's something that I kept very, very close to the vest. Well, I started showing him that, and then about the third month in, he's like, hey, Jim, I noticed on payroll that ... right? And so I was like, okay, I got somebody in the trenches with me now that understands what's happening. And so here we are, a year and a half later, and the guy's just a stud. He's taking on so much responsibility. His idea of sales was like, I'm petrified of sales. I'm not a salesperson. I don't want to do sales. I was like, all right, I get that, but I need you to do sales. So I started framing it a little bit differently, like business development, if you want to call it that, or whatever. And so teaching him like some of my processes, now he's adapted his own flavor and his own personality and his values into the sales process. And it's just amazing. He's bringing in business that I never would have thought was possible. And so John Maxwell, I'm a big leadership student of leadership, and John Maxwell writes the law of the lid, right? Sometimes the leader becomes the lid on the organization. When you take the lid off, the business can flourish. So that was kind of my mindset. It was like, I got to get out of the way and let the team just do what they need to do. I could provide the leadership, the vision, and the direction, but let the team do what they do.
So it really kind of started with, in 10 years, was the big thing going, I need to be replaceable, or I don't need to be here. Was that where you started, and then kind of work yourself backwards?
Yep. That was the big goal. Was I wanted to create, the way I wrote it was, I want to create a business that in 2020 or in 2031, I do not have to be here. So that was the way I had it written. It's still on my under the glass on my desk. That's one of the main goals that I have long term.
Why 10 years?
It was just a kind of a random thing. I felt like that I had like a 10-year runway, like of good energy in me, that I'm 59. Here we are in 2024. I'm 59 years old, and I don't think I'll ever retire. But I'm practically thinking, like, how much energy, how much juice do I have, to be on top of my game, to understand technology, to understand, trends and what's working for clients and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. It took me many years, even through the agency, when I was scaling the first agency, it was always about the numbers.
Hmm.
Right? It's like
Yeah.
live or die. Like
Yeah.
by
You
the
know,
end of the
you know what I'm
month.
talking about, that feeling of like,
It,
oh my gosh.
yeah. Well, it was the restart, right?
Yep.
Like, all right, you had a great year.
Yep.
Crap. How are we going to do it again?
Exactly.
And you're constantly focused on that. And it really put me in a bad path.
Hmm.
And then when I started doing with this particular agency and this business, I started thinking about not how much money you can make,
Mm.
but how do I, you know, serve my audience that I want to
Yes.
help?
Yeah.
How do I
Yep.
be more to them,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
Versus the reverse. And when I
Yep.
started doing that, the business actually grew quicker.
Exactly. Yeah.
And
Yep.
and it helped me avoid the burnout.
Yeah. Well, Jason, what you're describing to me is the difference between success and significance.
Hmm.
You know, significance is making a difference, you know,
Yeah.
whether it's in people's lives or their business or in the world. And once you taste, you know, you get that flavor of significance on your tongue, success is not that important anymore. You want to have significance. And I think that's what you're doing. And that's what I'm trying to do as well.
Yeah. Well, it's very addictive.
Yeah.
Because after I sold the agency, I lost my significance because
Yeah.
big clients weren't coming to me. My team, I didn't have any more.
Yeah.
I was just sitting on a beach doing nothing. I was like, this is kind of boring. Like
It's good
when
for
we
like the first couple months, right? Or maybe the first 2 months or whatever.
a couple days,
Yeah.
honestly.
Okay. All right. There you
Like
go.
my wife knows better than to take me to like a vacation where we're just laying on the beach. Like she loves to lay on the beach. I can't. I have to be, all right, let's go play volleyball. Let's go hiking. Let's go swimming. Let's snorkel. Like I have to be on the move. I have to be
That's great.
doing something. And that's what I found. I always tell everybody, it was like, don't ever sell your agency unless you know exactly what you want to do next. Like
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
you, if 10 years is when you want to retire,
Yeah.
I would tell you if you don't know, like if you want to get an RV and tour the country or tour the world, perfect. You know exactly what you want to do. You'll be happy.
Yeah.
Or you want to do this particular business, whatever it is,
Yep.
be an airline pilot, whatever. But if you don't have what you want to do, you're gonna be totally lost.
Yeah. You have to have purpose in the world for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Like what you were telling me kind of the pre-show about you buying the proposal template we used to sell, 9 years ago or something. I was like, wow, that's crazy. Like we
Yeah.
haven't sold that in a long time.
Yeah. 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 It was September 14th, 2015. I bought the template agreement from Jason Swank. And I honestly, it has a little bit of a different look, but that whole template is still in use today. Best $99 I've ever spent, Jason.
Yeah, I was like, we should charge more on that one.
Yeah, thanks for
But
not.
yeah, that was crazy because we started this business in 2014,
Yeah,
so it was probably only a couple months later
yeah,
for the
that's
proposal.
cool. That's
And
super
I
cool.
and I called it what we were talking about the best marketing or the cool. I don't know. It was the dumbest name for a proposal template you could ever think about.
Yeah, it's probably like the most effective marketing proposal or advertising proposal or something like that.
No,
Anyway,
I think I had awesome in there. Like
awesome. Okay, yeah,
I
that's
think
pretty
I had
cool.
the awesomest proposal template or like I was
I
like,
love
what?
it. Well, it
I go,
got my attention. It
yeah,
worked for
it
sure.
worked. They're very cool. That's awesome. Um, what is there anything else that has shocked you throughout the years
Mm.
running your agency?
Yeah, I think technology has just been such a blessing. I think for agency, whether it's digital and when I first started the agency, I had come from a strong. I think I mentioned a newspaper print background, so
Mhm.
I thought in my business plan, I'm going to be a print oriented agency. Well, about a week in, I realized, hey man, everybody's wanting video and everybody's wanting web and web development. So I was like, okay, let's just shift in that direction. So the technology aspect of everything, the ability to do a podcast. If you want to talk about my podcast, we could talk about that. Artificial intelligence now. I mean, it's just making life efficient and so easy to get ideas generated and just the whole digital movement has been probably the most overwhelmingly shocking thing. I didn't realize how that was going to play into running a business and being, the last year when we launched our SaaS application, I was being invited. I mean, I was speaking virtually every week around the state of West Virginia, a couple different states, as a AI marketing expert. And I'm like, what? How did I get this title? But it was just kind of funny because I was an early adopter. I dove in head first and try to figure it out. How can we use technology to make ourselves better and serve our clients better?
How are you guys using AI in your agency?
Well, if it's okay to talk about StoryMaker, that's our SaaS application. We created StoryMaker, launched it May 1st, 2023, and we have subscribers all over the country. And so what we've done is we've taken our story process. That's probably the thing that we're known for most at InnerAction Media, is our ability to tell compelling stories from a marketing perspective. So we've taken our complete story process, which is like 8-step process, combined it with generative AI, created within a database, the software the software as a service application, the SaaS application, is actually a database of your business, your products or services. And then you're able to, with a couple of clicks of a mouse, create the perfect prompt for ChatGPT. We're using 4.0 now, and create content on the fly. And it's everything from a 30-second pitch to sales emails, to blog posts, to social media posts, even email responders. I mean, we've got some really cool stuff built into that. So not only did we embrace AI and use AI, but we created a software application specifically to create marketing content and advertising content for our clients. And then now we're selling subscriptions across the country for it.
So do you use this as kind of like a foot in the door as well, or like a black
Yeah.
box
Yeah.
for your current clients to keep them with you?
Yeah, so we do. So every client gets a complimentary subscription. It's only $348 a year, but every client gets a subscription. But then we also build out the database for them. Okay, so and I'll give you credit for this too. I'm heaping all sorts of kudos. But years ago, you had this idea of the foot in the door offer that I first heard about, that I used to give away. And we called it our marketing intake, but it was the marketing blueprint, right? And so I used that same terminology that you used, and so our intake process for StoryMaker is our marketing blueprint that typically we charge $5,500 for. We give that to clients, and if you buy a subscription to StoryMaker, you get the process.
Yeah.
But it's all automated. There's no human interaction. You fill out the forms. Basically, it's all prompt and a tutorial that walks you through it. Very easy, and within a few minutes, you're creating custom marketing content generated by AI.
That's cool. That's awesome. I always like to see when agencies use AI or create their own kind of software that complements, that will either keep their clients, because they're like, if they leave, in most cases, like if they leave, they don't take that with them, or
That's right. Yep.
it's kind of that, them testing you out and be like, man, if they created this,
Yeah.
and it's telling me what to do. It was like, I'm too lazy to do it. Maybe these guys that created it can go do it.
Yeah.
And it leads to that.
Well, I've gotten this compliment from clients that have come to us in the last year since we launched StoryMaker, and they're like, "Listen, you guys must be a good agency if you created a piece of software around marketing." And so to your point, it gives you credibility, and not only credibility, but visibility. So like all the speaking engagements, the blogs that I've gotten to write on, the video podcasts and interviews like this have been amazing. I mean, I never could have imagined it. It was pretty cool. You're familiar with MailChimp. I had the former CEO of Intuit is a guy named Brad Smith. Brad Smith is the president of Marshall University here in West Virginia. And Brad, just the most fortuitous thing, I had an opportunity to meet him, and I told him what I was doing, and he said, I would like to learn more about it. Well, he ended up mentoring me for a couple calls. And one of the calls, he said, Jim, I would like for you to meet with the CEO of MailChimp to pitch and show StoryMaker to her. So I had numerous calls with Rania Sakor, the CEO of MailChimp, and it was just like surreal. Like a guy from Morgantown, West Virginia, is talking to the CEO of Intuit and MailChimp, and I mean, it came to a point there where I thought for a few moments that they were going to acquire the whole software package. They ended up going a different direction, but it was pretty cool.
Very cool. Yeah, I remember I started using MailChimp when they first came out. Like Atlanta was a huge hotbed for email marketing tools. We had our own. We actually developed a tool that we would actually roll out for our clients that we have to install each time. So it wasn't SaaS before MailChimp and all these.
Yeah.
It was right kind of after Constant Contact. And I mean, Atlanta was a hotbed. Like we had MailChimp, we had Pardot, we had all these. I was like, what was up with the Atlanta water for all this email marketing software?
It's super cool. Yeah, I love it, man. It's great.
Very cool. Awesome. Well, Jim, this has been a lot of fun. Is there anything I did not ask you that you think would benefit the listeners listening in?
No, man, I appreciate the opportunity to be here. One thing that I would like to say, you're a big fan of podcasts, and as am I. And, I started something that was really interesting back in 2017 called Positively West Virginia. And it's a passion project. It started out that way anyway. If for folks who don't know about West Virginia, we typically rank at the bottom of all the good lists and at the top of all the bad lists.
No, that's Mississippi.
Well, I'm not going to say it, but there's some people say, thank God for Mississippi here in West Virginia. Okay. So, anyway,
I'm just kidding, Mississippi.
That's right. That's right.
I have a lot of friends.
I don't say it. Other people say it. I'm just quoting them, but the point is that, a lot of our small businesses struggle here in West Virginia, and I'm on a mission to help them. So I started Positively West Virginia. Every Thursday we publish a new episode, and we tell the entrepreneurial journey of small businesses and even some nonprofits. And what's cool about that, Jason, is, I started it in 2017. And so even through the pandemic, we never missed a publication date. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of opportunities to talk to small business owners, which, by the way, are also prospective clients of mine. And so they not only did it give us visibility and credibility, but we added value to the conversation, right? And again, going back to your point of success versus significance, right? That was such an important thing. So I just want to, talk about the importance and just mention that podcasting is a great tool. I believe wholeheartedly. I love your podcast. I listen to. I've been a fan since 2015. So I think that's when you guys. Like I said, that's
14.
When I got turned on to you, it was 15. So
good.
So I missed the first year.
Well, no one listened for like a year.
Exactly. Well, what's funny about it is Positively West Virginia is the same thing. I used to record the episodes on my iPhone. Now we have a whole studio, and each episode has an audience of between 15,000 and 16,000, just on, people concerned about, and wanting to hear motivational, encouraging stories of entrepreneurship.
That's great. Well, congrats on the success of the agency, the software, and the podcast. You got the trifecta.
Yeah. I love it. Yeah,
triple threat.
Right. The triple threat. I love it. The triple play. I love it, man.
There you go. Awesome. And I'm glad when you were asking me, you were like, what football team? And I gave you 2 hints and you nailed it down with Florida State. I was like, yes, I like this guy.
That's awesome, man.
Well, amazing. Thanks so much for coming on the show. For everyone that's listening, we have a couple different resources for you guys. If you guys go to agencymastery360.com and /resources, we have a ton of lead magnets out there for you, from helping you close bigger proposals, closing retainers, getting the budget, tons of resources for free for you. So go to agencymastery360.com /resource. And until next time, have a swank day. I hope you enjoyed this content. If you want more content like this, make sure you click on the link on the screen or check out your most popular podcast platform where the full episode is there. And until next time, have a swank day. What are you doing? Go check it out. Click on the link. I'll see you soon.